Since 1965, only one light has burned in the National Football League. It has glowed constantly for the proud Packers of Green Bay, Wisconsin. In Lambeau Stadium on December 31st, 1967, they won their third consecutive NFL title, a feat never before accomplished in the modern history of the game. This is simply about the way it was, starting with the first championship season, starting with that gloomy December day in 1965, when the Packers met the Colts in Baltimore to determine first place in the Western Division.
Don Shula and the rest of the Baltimore Colts.
One man can't win a championship, but certainly no one man contributed more in the crucial games of the 1965 season than Paul Hornung, number 5. Against the Colts, he scored 5 touchdowns and led Green Bay to a resounding victory and a half-game lead in the Western Division. But at the season's end, the Colts and the Packers were tied, and in a playoff game in Lambeau Stadium, they battled to a 10-10 deadlock. After 14 minutes of sudden death overtime, Green Bay's dreams of the Western title rode on the right foot of Don Chandler. His field goal attempt cleared the crossbar with ease and cleared the way to the first championship game. 1 week later on the same field, Green Bay head coach Vince Lombardi saw Chandler and Hornung lead the Packers to the NFL title with a 23-12 victory over the Cleveland Browns. In 1966, quarterback Bart Starr passed Green Bay to an easy victory in the Western Division. In the championship game in the Cotton Bowl, Starr ripped open the Dallas Cowboys with 4 touchdown passes, and Green Bay won 34-27. 2 weeks later against the Kansas City Chiefs of the AFL, Starr directed the Packers to a convincing triumph in the first Super Bowl game. The second straight championship was won, but the greatest challenge was still to be faced. The stern voice of Coach Lombardi heralded the opening of the 1967 season.
This year we face the greatest challenge we have ever faced. We will be in quest of an unprecedented third straight championship, something no team has ever accomplished.
Coach Lombardi faced the greatest challenge with a team that was torn and battered. A rugged exhibition schedule had left Bart Starr a mass of bruises, and the Packers' offensive firepower was severely diminished. As a result, Green Bay relied on the strength of its defense to win. After an opening day tie with Detroit, the Packers held the Chicago Bears to a total of 6 first downs and earned their first victory of the year. In the season's third game, the Atlanta Falcons ran 50 plays and gained only 58 yards. Not once did they cross the Packer goal as Green Bay registered a 23-0 shutout. Against the Detroit Lions, the Packer defense did a vicious job, and few will forget the beating Milt Plum received at the hands of Henry Jordan and Willie Davis. And few will forget Ray Nitschke's game-breaking touchdown run with a deflected pass that clinched Green Bay's third victory. So, through the first part of the season, the defense kept Green Bay's title hopes alive. And throughout the remainder of the year, it would be the determining factor in the Packers' success. It is an aggressive defense that intimidates opponents, wears them down, and disorganizes their offensive patterns. Its true worth can be judged by the fact that 8 of its 11 members have, at one time or another, been honored by selection on various all-pro teams. The oldest and most respected member of the Packer defense is End Willie Davis, number 87, a 5-time all-pro from Grambling College. Davis teams with Lionel Aldridge, number 82, to give the Packers 2 of the quickest ends in the league. Veteran tackle Henry Jordan combines guile and strength to reach the quarterback. His partner, Ron Kostelnik, disdains guile in favor of pure strength. Backing up the front line, there is Ray Nitschke, number 66, a veteran of 10 years and the most feared middle linebacker in football. Above all, Nitschke is a leader who carries the rest of the defense with him. Dave Robinson, number 89, has played only half as long as Nitschke, but already his speed, intelligence, and mobility have earned him the accolade as the game's finest corner linebacker. The third Green Bay linebacker is number 60, Leroy Caffey, a damaging blitzer who tackles with enthusiasm and effect. Behind this impressive trio of linebackers is the best pair of cornerbacks in the game. All-Pro Bob Jeter, number 21, led the Packers in interceptions with 8, while Herb Adderley had 6, 2 of which he returned for touchdowns. The flamboyant play of these 2 cornerbacks is balanced by the conservative but alert play of the safeties. Veteran Willie Wood, number 24, and steady Tom Brown, number 40. Supported by this defense, the Packers held up through the first 4 games without a loss. But with their crippled offense, they were an incomplete team. In fact, rumor had it that the champion Packers were dead. They still wore the same green jerseys and gold helmets, and they still had a concrete defense, but their offense had suffered critical breakdowns. And when they lost to the Minnesota Vikings in the season's 5th game, their future was as much in question as their offense. After their loss to the Vikings, the Packers arrived at Yankee Stadium to play the Giants. To Green Bay's proud old veterans, this game had a special significance. Jerry Kramer explains why.
We started out rather haphazardly the first few games of the season, and then there was a great attack upon us by the press media that we were all old, that we were over the hill, that the Packers are all old men. And a number of articles about the old Green Bay Packers. They're too old, they're over the hill, over the hump, a number of other things. In New York, against the Giants, Bob Skoronski in his pregame speech got up and said, "I'm tired as hell about being called an old man." He said, "I'm up to here with it," and I think everyone else on the club was too. We were a little mad, not particularly at the Giants, but at the newspaper people more so than anybody else, and we had a little something to prove. They inspired us. They gave us a reason to play.
The Packers crushed the Giants 48-21 and proved that all they had lost during the early uncertain days of the season was the use of their quarterback, Bart Starr. Zeke Bretkowski had done a capable job filling in for Starr. He is a good quarterback, but Starr is a great one. And with him back in the lineup, the Packers became a championship team again. They rolled up 400 yards against the Giants and seemed bent on refuting the experts who had predicted the end of the Green Bay dynasty. In the first half of the season, the defense had kept the Packers in contention. And now in the second half, when it counted most, the offense would carry them to the title. It was Starr who brought on the renaissance of Green Bay's attack, time and again in crucial third down situations when success was vital to keep scoring drives in progress. Starr demonstrated his celebrated coolness in the face of the enemy. And when the occasion arose, he proved to be an adequate scrambler as well. One reason Starr is such a good quarterback is that he never throws the ball unless he is reasonably sure that it will reach the hands of a teammate. He would accept a momentary setback and patiently wait for the appropriate moment in which to strike. With Starr back in shape, the Packer receivers once again enjoyed prosperity. Boyd Dowler, number 86, the tall ex-hurdler from Colorado, was the Packers' leading receiver with 63 catches. Dowler is tall enough to outreach most defensive backs and fast enough to run by them. Max McGee, infinitely wise after 12 years in the NFL, has a certain genius for producing the big play. McGee is a spot player, but Carroll Dale is not, and he shares much of McGee's wisdom and has more speed. In the backfield, Green Bay had a seemingly endless abundance of running backs. Elijah Pitts and Jim Grabowski started the season. Against the Bears, Grabowski carried the ball 32 times and gained 111 yards. Elijah Pitts, number 22, is not as big as Grabowski, but he hurts when he hits. And his balance and quickness make him especially effective on Green Bay's most famous running play, the power sweep. Pitts also excels in the clutch. Against the Detroit Lions, he raced 84 yards with a pass to set up Don Chandler's last-second game-tying field goal. Due to injuries, neither Grabowski nor Pitts finished the season. Ben Wilson, number 36, replaced Grabowski. He boomed and barreled his way for 531 yards and was Green Bay's top rusher in 4 games. Donnie Anderson, number 44, took over for the ailing Pitts and quickly established himself as a genuine triple threat. A runner, kicker, and passer, as well as a skillful blocker and a sure-handed pass receiver. Anderson's long stride covers much ground, and he runs with reckless abandon. When Anderson was slowed by a hip injury, the Packers went to the 3rd string to discover a new star, rookie Travis Williams. He is a 9'3" sprinter who weighs 210 pounds and has the credentials to become the next great running back in pro football. In 1967, however, Williams paid his biggest dividend to the Packers as a kick returner. He led the league in this department and provided some of the season's most memorable moments. In a close battle with the St. Louis Cardinals, Williams ripped off a 94-yard kick return that won the game for the Packers. Later, he single-handedly destroyed the Cleveland Browns when he returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns and sparked Green Bay to a smashing 55-7 victory. By November, all the parts of the Green Bay machine were functioning smoothly. In the 11th game of the season, the Packers crushed the Chicago Bears and proved that they were the best team in the Central Division. 1 month later, they would prove for the 3rd year in a row that they were the best team in the Western Conference. Until December 23rd, there were those who said the Los Angeles Rams were the strongest team in football. They had won 10 straight games, and their defensive line, the so-called fearsome foursome, was the toughest in the league. Then on a dark day in Milwaukee, the Green Bay Packers proved that the Rams were not even the best team in the Western Conference. With the Western title at stake, Green Bay's defense, led by Henry Jordan, dropped Roman Gabriel 5 times for losses. On offense, Bart Starr completed 74% of his passes. Carroll Dale was the leading receiver, making 6 receptions for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. Bob Skoronski, Forrest Gregg, Gail Gillingham, and Ken Bowman opened gaping holes in the fearsome foursome. Chuck Mercine and Travis Williams sped through them and ran the Packers to a 28-7 win. Gimmick nicknames have not romanticized the Green Bay Packers. Otherwise, after this game, somebody would have dubbed them the Fearsome 40. On the coldest New Year's Eve in the cold history of Green Bay, the Packers met the Dallas Cowboys of the Eastern Conference for the championship of the National Football League. After 55 minutes of play, the Cowboys led by 3 points, and most of the crowd had almost decided to go home, warm up, and drown their sorrows with a sad New Year's Eve celebration. But in the final frozen moments, the Packers burrowed deep into that reservoir of experience and determination that has accumulated in their unequal 3-year reign as champions of the world. They toiled 67 yards in 4.5 minutes to the threshold of pro football history. One yard, the clock, and the brave Dallas defense were all that stood between the Packers and the impossible dream. An entire season's work depended on this one final play. Jerry Kramer reveals that it was engineered with Green Bay's typical attention to detail.
We spend hours and hours and hours looking at the films and the minutest detail. We even take every goal line play out and put them in a separate reel. And traditionally, your defensive linemen on the goal line charge in low and hard. And oftentimes, they what we call submarine. They just bury their head on the ground so that they can't be moved back. We found in viewing the Dallas films that Jethro Pugh was a little higher than the other people and that he could possibly be moved a little bit easier. So we had decided prior to the game that if we were going to run a wedge, we would run it on Jethro.
Jerry Kramer drove out Jethro Pugh and steered Bart Starr to the championship of the National Football League. There it was. Only one play, one block in a long season of plays and blocks in 1-yard game. But it was a play to remember. A play that tells you what the Green Bay Packers are all about. Guts, determination, and Coach Vince Lombardi.
I think it's because of Coach Lombardi, and I don't believe there's any question about it. He has made the comment a number of times that he said, and I've never believed this before, but I'm beginning to. He said, "You're not the greatest athletes in the world." He says, "We've got guys same size, same speed, same mental ability as most of you people." But he says, "There's something a little more." He says, "We look for a little bit of character in an individual. He molds that character, or that's something that's intangible, something special about you. And if you don't have it, you don't stay in Green Bay very long. And if you do have it, or have a chance to have it, he brings it out of you and develops it in you."
With an icy victory in the NFL championship, the Packers won the right to move south to Miami for the Super Bowl. On the eve of the World Championship, the Packers' clean jerseys concealed the raw truth of a hard-fought season. Against the Oakland Raiders, the Packers shook off the painful legacy of a rugged 16-game season and smashed to a 33-14 triumph and football's world championship. When it was over, Vince Lombardi left the field on the shoulders of his men, acclaimed the greatest coach of football's greatest team. And it is as a team that the Green Bay Packers will be remembered. For 10 years, Jerry Kramer has been part of that team. He was there in the fog and in the snow and mud of 1965. He was there in the Texas sun of 1966. And he was there in Miami at his coach's side. He can tell it the way it really is.
There are no special stars on the club. It's just a tremendous group of guys. I've had a tremendous association with these people. They're great people, they're fun people, they're good people. And my big enjoyment out of the game is the people I associate with. I'll tell you in a nutshell, if you can understand this. I play pro football because of Emlyn Tunnell, Bill Quinlan, Dan Curry, Paul Horning, Fuzzy Thurston, Max McGee, Henry Jordan,
Herb Adderley, Ray Nitschke, Dave Robinson, Bart Starr. They will be remembered as the faces of victory. They will be remembered for their coach, whose iron discipline was the foundation on which they built a fortress. And most of all, they will be remembered as a group of men who faced the greatest challenge their sport has ever produced and conquered.